Hi guys, it's Jessica. Some of you might remember me. I was a youth leader a couple years ago from Mint, and I'm here today to give you a little overview of Linocut printmaking that will help you when you make your own prints this year. Alright, so this is a really quick overview of the materials I use, but they aren't really necessary for you. Mint is going to be providing you with everything that you need. If you want to go out and buy anything, that's really great, but again, not necessary. So the first thing is this ink. I used oil-based ink. This is Speedball. You can get this in a lot of different colors and sizes, but the ink that we have at Mint is mostly primary colors, I think. And if you want to get like a fancy color, what you can do is you can mix, them together. So you could take like blue ink or you could take red ink, and then you can mix them and you can get like a nice purple. So that's just a suggestion if you want to get funky with it. The other thing is paper. I have this really fancy paper, but you can print on anything. I've printed on newsprint before, So, and then this is the roller. You're going to be using this. So you have a piece of plexiglass and then you put your ink on it, and then you roll it out. And I'm going to do a demonstration of it, and exactly what you should be looking for a little bit later in this video. So yeah, and then this is like my carving tool set. It's flex cut. Again, this is like not necessary. I have like these detachable heads and stuff. We have carving tools at Mint that don't detach, so you aren't going to have to worry about that. And I'll give you a closer look into like what this is a little later in the video as well. And then these are printing blocks. So they come in a lot of different materials, mostly either rubber or linoleum. So before you start carving, I just want to give you a little lesson in the tools you can use and the techniques, and then also a little bit of safety information. So I'm gonna tilt my camera down, pretend you can like see what I'm doing. Sorry you can't see my beautiful face. So this is the carving tool that I use. It's flex cut. It has replaceable heads. None of the ones at Mint have these, it's just one tool. So you don't have to worry about how to replace them. But there's a lot of different heads. This one, if you can see, is kind of pointy. And I like it for, like fine lines and things that widen gradually. This one is for detail work. It's really tiny, really tiny. And then if I'm taking out like big chunks of area for like white space, I'll use something like this, which is a lot wider. And there's just a lot of different shaped heads. So when you're carving, you want to make sure that you always keep your fingers away from the front of the blade. So if you can see here what I'm doing, I have my hand to one side, and I'm just kind of going lightly, I'm not scooping, you never want to gouge because you'll rip out chunks, especially in something that's like a finer material like this. So you can see that this is the line I just made. And now I'm going to show you what happens when you kind of go down really steep, which is what a lot of people do when they're beginners. You will start to rip up, pieces of linoleum. Do you see how it's kind of tearing? And that's not something you really want to see because it just, diminishes the detail and the quality of your plate. So you just want to go slow, make sure your fingers are always away. You can also use this finger and control more deeply the curve. So you could go like this. Uh-oh. My mat is slipping. So you can use your pointer finger and kind of do curves. But you never want to you never want your face too close to this because especially if you are kind of just starting out, it's really easy to like, uh-oh, my camera slipped. It's really easy for you to, kind of dig up like this and then it ends up in your eye and that's not fun for anybody. So again, make sure your face is not in front of like super close to this and make sure your fingers are not in front of this. And that's really all. Again, there's a lot of tools, so I would like explore and see what works for you. They all have different purposes and functions. So you can see these are the lines I made before and they're kind of, thicker. And this is from that super, super tiny tool, and they're really, really skinny lines, you know? And I'll just show you for fun this one. So if you're like making something that has like a lot of negative space, you would use something like this, and it takes out really, really big chunks really, really fast. So that's something like that. But again, up to you. So go crazy, but be safe doing it. This is a plate that I made a couple of years ago. It's a cute little sheep. I'm going to use this to show you how you can use your hands to print. You can also use the printing press even for something this thick. It just requires adjusting the height of it. And that's something that your mentor can show you how to do, or Miss Jackie. Unfortunately, I couldn't make it to the studio, so I'm going to be doing everything by hand today. So you can see I've rolled some ink out here. I'm using this. It's kind of like a laminated magazine, I guess you could say, because it's not going to absorb a lot of the ink, but really, really, really you want to be using plexiglass because it's easy to clean, it's reusable, and you aren't going to waste a lot of ink like you will with something like this. I'm working from home today, so this is what we got. But you can see here how there's kind of streaks in the ink, and you want to keep rolling until you don't see any of those. I'm doing this with one hand, so I'm going to pause this to show you. So if you can see here, this kind of texture looks almost like an orange peel, and that's exactly what you want. So you want your entire thing to be coated. I'm using red because it's really easy to see, but you can use any color ink. I gave you a couple of examples in the beginning. And then you want to take your plate and you want to roll it onto your plate. Bear with me again, doing this with one hand, but you just want to kind of coat it. You want to roll in one direction, so you don't want to do any of this because it just picks up the ink and takes it right back off your plate. And then you can go back in here and you can get more ink. You can also put more ink on your plexiglass, pretend this is plexiglass again, and then you just keep rolling it on until you think it's evenly coated. It might take a couple of tries to get a really, really good print, but you just want to keep going, you know, and make sure it's completely covered. So I'm going to pause this and then do that. So now that my plate is inked, I can go ahead and I can put my paper on it and print. So you just want to make sure that you're lining it up. This is, again, really challenging to do with one hand through my phone. You don't want to move it around once it's on the plate because your design's going to smudge a lot. But then you just kind of want to get in there, and again, this isn't super precise, it's just kind of to show you. And you want to press down really firmly with your hands, or you can use something called a Baron. I'll insert like a PNG of that here so that you know what it looks like. But basically it's just to evenly distribute the pressure and make sure that the ink is fully pressed in. And I should really be going at this like right away so that I can get a really strong firm print. So you want to use your entire body for this. And make sure again that you have your plate down here and the paper on top of it, because you can do it the other way, but it takes so much more force, you know, to transfer the same amount of like pressure like through this to this than it does to just press on the paper directly. So make sure that you're pressing on the paper like this. So when you can start to see the ink through the paper, if you have like a thin rice paper, it's a good sign that you are, you know, getting pretty well inked. Again, I would, you know, do this for longer than you think you need to. It's always a good bet. All right, so now let's see what we got. And look at that, you have it a print. And then if you want to do another print, all you have to do is go back to your ink palette right here. You can add more ink. You can also kind of, especially if you have something like glass, you can scrape up the ink that you have using a palette knife and then re-roll it out, you know, and again, when it's that consistency, and then you put it back on here. So after every single plate or print, you have to re-ink it. So if you look here, I don't really want to waste paper actually, but if I just used this plate as it is right now, and I didn't re-ink it, the design would come out really, really faded. So it's kind of crucial that you continue inking it, and every single plate that you do will get darker and darker. So if this is the first one, the more ink that's on this, the darker this will be. So this is kind of an embarrassing sidebar, but a couple of months ago, I decided I wanted to make a book plate so that I could label all of my books with my name. And this is what it turned out like. But as you can see, I carved the J this way. Now, I'm gonna show you what it looks like when I print it, and I think it'll be like a good lesson for you and why I wanted to emphasize that you can do letters or words in your prints, but it just takes a lot of time and effort. All right, so once again, pressing really firmly, you know, making sure that, you know, the ink is getting as absorbed as it can be into the paper so that my design is really, really defined. Not that it matters that much. I don't think this print is ever gonna see the light of day. But anyway, when I take this paper off, do you see how the J is now backwards? And how that'd be kind of embarrassing to have in all my books? And that's just kind of a reminder that, you know, whenever you carve something, you want to make sure that you carve all of your letters backwards. And if you do a word, all the letters in the word have to be backwards and the word itself, you know. So again, just something to keep in mind, or you'll end up like me. Just wanted to make another quick note actually, now that I'm cleaning up. When you're done, you're gonna have a lot of ink everywhere, and it's all oil-based, and it's all really, really messy. So you wanna make sure that you're wearing gloves for this entire thing, which I did not do, but regret. And find yourself a sink and some rubbing alcohol, and you can use that for cleaning off your plates. Another thing that I found really useful is turpentine, but that stuff is also like really, really toxic, and you do not want to inhale it. So if you're working with that and you're using it to clean off your plexiglass and your ruler, you want to go outside and you want to wear gloves and you want to not inhale it. So. All right, so the other thing I'm going to do is under this video, I'm going to link a Pinterest board that has a lot of ideas for Linocut printmaking, things that I want to try, things that you can check out too, and some other videos that I found helpful for printmaking that I think will be probably better edited than this one. So that's pretty much it. I'm super excited for you guys, and you know, I'll see if I hope that Vicky will send me some photos of what you guys make. So yeah.